6 minutes into the second half, Diego Maradona punches a football into the net with his bare hand and gets away with it. 4 minutes later, he scores what FIFA will call the greatest goal in World Cup history. Same player, same match, 4 minutes apart. July 15th, in Atlanta, Argentina and England meet again at a World Cup semifinal for the first time since 2002. And this is the match every player on that pitch grew up hearing about before they ever met. June 22nd, 1986. Estadio Azteca, Mexico City. By the time the final whistle blew that day, one country called this man a genius, and the other has spent the 40 years since calling him a thief. This is the World Cup quarterfinal Argentina and England still can't agree on. Not because anyone's confused about what happened, because everyone agrees on exactly what happened, and still can't agree on how to feel about it. 4 years earlier, in 1982, Argentina and Britain fought a real war, the Falklands War, or in Argentina, the Guerra de las Malvinas. Argentina's military government invaded a small set of British-held islands in the South Atlantic. 74 days later, after real battles and real deaths on both sides, Britain took them back. Argentina lost. The military government that started the war collapsed within months, humiliated at home as much as abroad. Nobody forgot that. Not the players, not the fans, not the two countries who, 4 years later, get drawn against each other at a World Cup for the first time since. FIFA, England, and Argentina all say the same thing before kickoff. This is football, not politics. Officially, nobody connects the war to the match. Unofficially, everyone in that stadium knows exactly what this is. Argentina's captain is 25-year-old Diego Maradona, already by 1986, one of the most talked-about players alive. Short, powerfully built, left-footed, impossible to knock off the ball. He is not just Argentina's best player. He is, for 90 minutes at a time, close to their entire attack. The first half is goalless, cagey, tense, both teams cautious of a moment like this. Then, 6 minutes into the second half, it happens. Argentina pushed the ball forward. It's half cleared by an England defender, straight to Maradona, just outside the England box. He's a step behind England goalkeeper Peter Shilton, both of them jumping for the same ball. Shilton is taller by nearly a foot. By every law of physics, this should be his ball to punch clear. Maradona goes up anyway. And as the ball drops, his left fist, not his head, his fist, punches it up and over Shilton into the net. For 1 full second, nobody reacts. Then Maradona wheels away, both arms up, sprinting toward the corner flag like he's just scored the most natural goal in the world. England's players don't celebrate confusion. They explode. Shilton is in the referee's face immediately, jabbing a finger at his own head, then at Maradona, trying to explain with his whole body what just happened. Terry Butcher, Terry Fenwick, half the England team surrounds the referee, Tunisian official Ali bin Nasser, screaming at him to disallow it. Bin Nasser doesn't disallow it. From where he's standing at full sprint several meters away, he doesn't see the hand. His linesman, watching from the touchline, doesn't flag it either. The goal stands. Argentina 1, England 0. Afterward, in the mixed zone, a reporter asks Maradona directly, "Was that your hand?" And Maradona doesn't deny it outright. He gives an answer that becomes, almost instantly, the most quoted sentence in Argentine football history. That the goal was scored, in his words, a little with the head of Maradona, and a little with the hand of God. He isn't confessing. He isn't apologizing. He's naming it, turning a blatant handball into something that sounds, in Spanish, almost like scripture. Argentina didn't just get away with one. Their captain gave it a name that would outlive the scoreline by decades. Here's what most retellings skip past, because the handball is the headline. 4 minutes later, Maradona does something almost nobody, before or since, has ever done in a World Cup. He picks the ball up in his own half near the center circle with his back mostly to goal, turns, and starts running. He beats one England midfielder with a single touch, beats a second a few strides later without breaking stride, cuts inside past the third defender, who lunges and gets nothing but air. A fourth closes him down near the edge of the box. Maradona drops a shoulder, goes around him too. That's 4 England players beaten in about 10 seconds, over roughly 60 meters of pitch. And there's still Shilton to get past. He doesn't go around Shilton so much as wait for him to commit, then slide the ball past him into the net at a walking pace. Like the previous 10 seconds cost him no effort at all. Estadio Azteca, the same stadium, the same crowd, still processing the outrage of 4 minutes earlier, erupts into something closer to disbelief than celebration. Argentine commentator Victor Hugo Morales on radio screams a single word over and over as Maradona runs, "Genius, genius, genius." Then, famously, asks what planet he came from. FIFA will later name this the goal of the century. Not the goal of that tournament, the goal of the century. Of every World Cup ever played, before or since. Think about what those 4 minutes actually contain. The most blatant, most talked about act of cheating in the sport's history. And then, before anyone's even finished being angry about it, arguably the greatest single goal anyone has ever scored. Same player, same shirt. Same 6 minutes of second-half football. England pull one back through Gary Lineker in the 81st minute. A real goal. A good goal. The kind that in almost any other match would be the headline. Here, it's a footnote. Argentina hold on. Final score. Argentina 2, England 1. Argentina go on to win the entire tournament, beating West Germany in the final. In England, the anger doesn't fade with the final whistle. English newspapers run the handball as the story, not the scoreline. Words like robbery and cheat appear across back pages within a day. England manager Bobby Robson gives interviews in the tournament's aftermath, making clear he believes Maradona knew exactly what he'd done. Peter Shilton, decades later, is still asked about that moment in almost every interview about his career, and by his own account, still hasn't fully let it go. In Argentina, the reaction is close to the opposite of regret. This isn't remembered as a stolen goal that happened to also contain a great one. It's remembered as both goals belonging together, the hand of God, and the goal of the century, a single act of getting away with something and a single act of pure genius, delivered back to back by a country that had lost a real war to England 4 years earlier, and for 90 minutes in Mexico City, didn't lose this one. Maradona himself, years later, is widely quoted connecting the two directly, saying that although everyone insisted before the match that football had nothing to do with the Malvinas, the players knew Argentine soldiers had died in that war, and that beating England that day felt like a kind of payback. That's a serious thing to hear a footballer say about a match. It's also, whether every historian agrees with the framing or not, exactly how an entire country chose to remember these 90 minutes, not as 2 separate goals, but as one afternoon where a stolen goal and a perfect one somehow evened an old score that had nothing to do with football in the first place. Even the referee has had decades to think about it. Ali bin Nasser has said in later interviews that from his position and his sprint angle, he genuinely didn't see the hand, and that he was relying on his linesman, who also didn't flag it, to catch what he couldn't. So who do you actually blame 40 years later? The player who took the goal, or the officials standing a few feet away who didn't stop him? Tell me in the comments. Here's the part worth sitting with. Most controversial goals fade the moment a better story replaces them. This one never got the chance to fade because the same player, in the same match, immediately followed it with a goal so good it became a museum piece in its own right. One that FIFA itself would later crown the best ever scored. England can't just be angry about the handball because 4 minutes later they were beaten by something undeniable. And Argentina can't just celebrate the genius because it will always sit 4 minutes behind a goal that never should have counted. That's the real reason 1986 still gets brought up before every Argentina versus England match, 40 years on. Not because one side is still lying about what happened, because both sides are telling the truth about the same 90 minutes. And the truth this time happens to contain both a theft and a miracle, standing right next to each other, refusing to cancel each other out. This is what this channel does. It takes something as small as a handball, a single commentator's scream, 4 minutes on a football pitch, and shows you the history and the psychology hiding underneath it. If that's the kind of story you want more of, follow the channel so you don't miss the next one. And if this one held your attention, leave a like.